There's no scenario where branched chains are better than essential amino acids or full proteins. Yes, they are smaller. Maybe they'll get digested faster. I fail to see many circumstances where you can even argue for a case where they're going to be superior. And again, the research just doesn't support them beating out essential amino acids in any places.
As BarBend's nutrition editor, I'm genuinely shocked by the lack of information out there about the difference between branched chain amino acid supplements and essential amino acid supplements, which are fast becoming just as prominent, if not more prominent, than BCAA supplements. But the research isn't quite as nice to BCAAs as it used to be. Essential amino acids are the ones that we have to consume through food. The body can't make it itself. Branched chain amino acids are essential amino acids, but they're made a little bit differently. They digest way more quickly, and they may be the best for preserving muscle on the fewest calories. Maybe. But let's get to the practical question. If you're in a supplement store and you've got BCAAs on one hand and EAAs on another, is one of them going to be better, more advantageous to help you to accomplish your goals, I guess I should say? Well, today we've spoken to the sports nutritionist and co-owner of Denovo Supplements, Ben Escrow, MSRD, to try and figure out this question. And boy, howdy, is it a complicated one. There was a whole lot of biochemistry going on here that I had to figure out, but I sent the script to Ben several times to make sure I got the wording right and I didn't get anything wrong. So we're looking today at 5 main questions. What are BCAAs? What are EAAs? Why do people take them? Is one of them more useful than the other? And are either of them better than just actually eating food? So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Essential amino acids are the ones we cannot make ourselves and have to eat through food. There are 9 of them, and 3 of those essential amino acids are branched chain amino acids: leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Those are the ones you're going to find in BCAA supplements. A standard dose is about 5 to 7 grams of them.
It just so happens that they're unique in having that side chain, which is branched, allows them to actually have a different metabolic role. So they can actually bypass the liver, and actually ingesting branched chain amino acids orally is very similar to an injection of them. That's how rapidly they're absorbed, and so most things go to the liver first before they circulate around the body. Branched chains are unique in that they actually bypass the liver and they can go directly to muscle. So I think that's sort of where this concept started, and they can actually be oxidized within muscle for energy.
So the reasons you'll normally hear people say they take BCAAs is that they give them energy during fasted workouts, and they help to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. Leucine, one of the branched chain amino acids, is especially very closely linked to stimulating MPS, which is a process that switches on genes responsible for muscle gain. Now remember, muscle gain is vastly more complicated than this. You've got to take into account your total calories, your total protein, your workouts, your sleep, your hormones, all this other stuff. But the theory is that BCAAs help to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which is going to be useful if you are going a long time between meals, if you're on an empty stomach, or you're not eating very much protein, or you're having a fasted workout. And also, people say they help to give them energy because they digest so quickly and they zip straight to the muscles. That's the theory anyway.
Where that really starts to fall apart is, well, glucose can do that too. And glucose can provide ATPs.
And ATP helps to provide energy to your cells. Sorry for all the acronyms, it's energy, like energy for exercise.
A lot of things in supplements tend to start out on a great idea or a great hunch, but then sometimes fall apart with research, and that seems to be the case with branched chains.
Ben really feels that if you want energy for working out, you should eat carbohydrates. It is true that branched chain amino acids may trigger growth pathways, but that process is much more effectively stimulated if you've got some insulin along for the ride.
Well, it seems that ingesting glucose alongside some source of amino acids will improve the protein synthetic response. It does get a little bit nitty gritty in that branched chains can release a small amount of insulin as well, but it's a different type of insulin release compared to how glucose does. So that's where it does get a little more technical, but I think at the level it's most appropriate for this is that a small amount of glucose will improve protein synthesis.
We're already getting a bit technical here, but the long and short of it for BCAAs for energy is that while they may digest fast and they may be useful if you're on an empty stomach, you're going to be a lot better off both for your energy levels and your muscle protein synthesis if you're just like eating real food, or at least if you have like a scoop of whey protein.
Whey would be first choice. If not whey, for whatever reason, then EAA. If not that, okay, fine, branched chain, but you're spending a lot of money that you can get better other things for, and you can have glucose instead. I get the fear of glucose. Yes, it's going to make you release insulin, but if you're burning enough calories and you can fit it into your caloric allotment for the day, you can achieve the same things through glucose, because insulin signaling will stop muscle protein breakdown. So yes, carbohydrates are not directly anabolic, but they are anti-catabolic.
Okay, so we know BCAAs might be useful in a pinch, but whole food is better. But back to our original question. If you're out and about and you want some really low calorie protein, a scoop of amino acids is like maybe about 20 calories most of the time. If you want to have some low calorie amino acids that'll help you get through a workout and maybe help to preserve muscle, should it be BCAAs or EAAs if you have to pick a supplement?
There's no scenario where branched chains have been shown superior to essential amino acids. There's no scenario where branched chains are better than essential amino acids or full proteins. Again, there's no case where branched chains are superior to essential aminos.
I don't think he thinks BCAAs are superior to EAAs.
Yes, they are smaller. Maybe they'll get digested faster. I fail to see many circumstances where you can even argue for a case where they're going to be superior. And again, the research just doesn't support them beating out essential amino acids in any places.
Now, there isn't a whole lot of research here, but if you're comparing the 3 branched chain amino acids to the 9 essential amino acids, this study here in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition says that EAAs are better for muscle protein synthesis and for preventing protein breakdown. This one, in Frontiers in Physiology, says that BCAA leucine is useful for increasing muscle protein synthesis, but EAAs are better at sustaining it. This one's a bit softer, says EAAs are better for protein synthesis, although the effect is largely because of the BCAAs. But this one from Robert Wolf takes a really hard line. It says BCAAs are such a useless, incomplete protein. Like, they're so low in amino acids that when you take them, the body will pull amino acids from elsewhere in the body. You'll lose protein. Like, it's such an incomplete protein that BCAAs are catabolic.
So whenever you're making new proteins, you need all the amino acids available to incorporate into new proteins. And one of the problems with branched chains is if you only have the 3 of them, then you actually have a limiting source of amino acids. If they're not available through the diet, you may pull them from somewhere else, or the protein synthetic process will stop. Knowing enough about physiology, I'd have trouble seeing how if you ingested branched chains in isolation and you activated protein synthesis, it's not going to basically just shrivel you up to pull these other aminos from your body. Like, I think that's a lot more of a change for probably researchers to argue over than it is for gym goers to argue over.
It's worth remembering we don't have a zillion studies on this, and there's still research that suggests versus training on an empty stomach, BCAAs can be useful for preventing muscle soreness and for giving you a bit more energy during a workout. So better than nothing, but it looks like EAAs are a better bet.
When you compare both together, you get a better protein synthesis response from essential amino acids, and the protein synthetic response actually lasts longer.
But I'd be remiss if I didn't emphasize that Ben would really just rather you have whole food or a whey protein shake. It's true that taking isolated amino acids is going to save you maybe 90 or 100 calories versus taking a scoop of whey protein. Amino acids do, by the way, have calories, like isolated amino acid supplements have calories. Usually they're listed as having no calories, but that's because the FDA doesn't like you saying it has calories if it's not an intact protein. It's like a weird loophole, but you are going to have about 20 or 30 calories per scoop of amino acids. So all that said though, if you're taking whey protein instead, it is more calories, but you're going to have more conditionally essential amino acids, which may also be useful for preventing catabolism. And you're going to get other stuff like immunoglobulins, which might be useful for your immunity. Like the kind of stuff that you get in real whole foods. Even if it's whey protein, which a lot of people would not consider a real food, but it's still a lot more of a food than isolated amino acids. So Ben basically tiers it like real whole food, whey protein, essential amino acids, BCAAs, and nothing. So like, yeah, BCAAs, they're better than nothing. But the real thing here to keep in mind, I think, the real take-home message should be that catabolism, which is often referred to as like muscles breaking down, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not something you should be terrified of. It's not something you need to take a million supplements all day, every day to make sure you never, ever experience.
When people hear catabolic, they get scared because they think it means muscle tissue's breaking down. Well, it means good things like fat tissue's breaking down too. You need to activate AMP kinase to activate lipases, things that break down fat. Again, you sort of have to step back and see the whole picture of it. And in that it's this sort of ebb and flow throughout the day of activation, deactivation, activation, deactivation. It kind of goes up and down. This intent to almost try to biohack your way around staying anabolic, but exercising and losing fat actually is a bit of a misnomer.
Once again, and this is always where we wind up with these sorts of conversations, your total calories, your total protein, and your workouts are what are going to dictate the vast, vast, vast majority of your results, the way your body looks and the way it performs. But look, if you like taking these supplements, go ahead. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's just worth experimenting with different options like whole food, whey, EAAs, BCAAs, and nothing, and see what makes you feel better during your workout. Because provided your protein and calories are on point, whichever of these options results in you cranking out a few extra reps is probably the one that's going to make the difference.